Welcome to
Best Way Technologies.
today's topic.
SAP IS Utilities.
Disclaimer.
So SAP is one of the ERP package. When I say ERP, Enterprise Resource Planning. So the name itself is saying enterprise is an organization. Resources, when I say resources, it will be part of five different M's: market, material, machine, man, and money. So these five are called resources. So managing and planning of optimum utilization of these resources is a concept of ERP. So within an organization, how best you're going to use those resources or how best you're going to plan to use those resources, your ERP package will help you to analyze, evaluate, manage, plan your resources. That's the purpose of ERP. Now, when it comes to ERP, there are so many ERP packages, like small companies to large industrial multinational companies. So, world renowned is your Oracle Financials, Oracle Labs, or you have Microsoft Dynamics, or you have JD Edward, PeopleSoft, Siebel CRM. There are so many things. In that list, SAP is one of the ERP package. Okay, so SAP stands for Systems, Applications, Products, and Data Processing. So that's the core SAP, and the advantage with the core SAP is you can use that application for any type of industries. It's a general application. Like you can implement it for retail, you can implement it for banking, you can implement it for automobile, manufacturing, pharma industry, any type. But the only dependency is you have to go with the more and more customization, because there are so many solutions which are available, but searching for those solutions, customizing it for your own solutions is a bit higher expensive. So to capture the market, what SAP thought is, if we can provide predefined solutions which can cover your 70% to 70 to 80% of your business requirements. Of course, there could be a changes, there could be enhancements. That's a different story. But what if I can give you an application with a predefined solution, right? Which will reduce your implementation time, it will reduce your implementation cost, it will reduce your resources. So that's where SAP came up with the solutions called industry specific solutions. Those are called IS. So industry specific solutions. So SAP designed almost 18 plus industry type solutions. You name your industry, you'll find your solution. Like IS defense, IS aeronauticals, IS real estate, IS insurance, IS banking, IS retail, IS insurance. So in the same list, you have one more industry specific solution for utility industry. Okay, so each industry has their own concepts, right? Because you cannot compare two different industries together. If I start comparing with the retail industry with the finance industry, they are entirely different. Or if I compare your insurance company with your banking company, they are different altogether. They might be dealing with money only, but their process is different. Banking process is different, right? In the same way, when you compare your utilities with other retail companies and all this stuff, it's entirely different. So, industry specific scenarios, whatever you can come across worldwide. So, what they did is they acquired or they took all their scenarios, business scenarios from the industries, and they made an application that's called industry specific solutions for utilities. And using the same application, you can implement the same application or the same solution for five different industries: electricity, water, gas, wastewater, multimedia, and waste management. So the same utility application, you can use it for these many services: electricity, gas, water, wastewater, multimedia, and waste management. Okay, there could be a slight difference in some of the situations or some of the areas, like say base unit of measure. Electricity we go with kWh, water we go with gallon or liters. So it might be different. That's the only thing. But when it comes to business scenarios and business processes, almost all the industries, everything is same. So those functions or business functions are broadly classified into five different modules. In utilities, we have 5 different modules. So those are: one is your customer service, second is your device management, third, work management, fourth, billing and invoicing, fifth is your finance, FICA, financial accounting, contract accounts, receivables and payables. So these are the 5 basic modules. Apart from this, there are so many advanced modules like EDM, energy data management, RTP, real time pricing, smart meters, AMIs. Those are advanced versions. But core utilities have 5 modules. Now, so to before you understand SAP utilities, we need to understand how utility industry works. In any of these areas where exactly we are going to use your utility application. So when you go with electricity utility, you'll have generation, you'll have transmission, and you'll have distribution, and the last one is your retail, or we call it as customer services. So as part of this, generation is how you are going to generate the electricity, right? So it can be any mean of electricity, like it could be thermal power, or it could be a wind power, it could be solar power. It doesn't matter how you are generating electricity. Now, once you generate the electricity to reach to your customer or a consumer, the electricity what you generate will be in a kilowatts or megawatts, and that you cannot supply directly to a customer or your domestic customer or a commercial customers, right? You have to step down that electricity and then you have to pass it on to your customers. So the high power transmissions, your generation point to a nearby substation, the electricity will be transmitted to a nearby substation. That is the responsibility of transmission company. So wherever you see those high tension wires or 30,000, 33,000 kilowatts high tension wires and all this stuff is a responsibility of your transmission company. Now once it reaches to the substation, there you're going to step down the electricity so that you can distribute the electricity to your nearby consumers. Like it could be a residential, or it could be commercial, or it could be industrial, right? So that is the responsibility. That means from your substation to the property, like setting up your poles, setting up your low tension wire, setting up your transformer, setting up your devices, installing all those devices and all this stuff, is the responsibility of distribution part or distribution company. Now, at the same time, on a periodic basis, on a monthly basis, someone has to go and collect the meter read, right? Because based on the meter read only, you'll get to know what is your consumption, and based on the consumption, you'll receive your bill, right? Electricity bill or gas bill or water utility bill. So someone has to take the responsibility to go and collect the meter read on a monthly basis. That is also lies with your distribution company. Now, someone has to take care, or someone has to take the responsibility of collecting those meter reads, calculation of your charges, consumption, and based on the consumption, you have to calculate your charges, and you have to collect the amount from a customer. That part is called retail. This is the area where you have to discuss about regulated market and a deregulated market as well. The concept of regulated and deregulated is: generation is by default a deregulated market. That means wherever you have more than one service provider, that's called deregulated. So generation can be done by anyone, right? Any company can generate electricity, whoever has a capacity. Nowadays, residential customers can also generate electricity if you keep your solar panels, right? So that's your generation part. Transmission and distribution cannot be deregulated, because if you deregulate your transmission and distribution, everywhere you can see those poles, transformers with their names, right? Electric poles with their own names. So transmission and distribution will never ever be deregulated. Whereas retail, there are few areas where they have started deregulating the market. I'm talking about US. In US, there are few states which they have already implemented of deregulation. There are more states yet to convert them into deregulation, but It's a combination of regulated as well as deregulated. Especially if you go with Texas or a part of Florida, a part of North Carolina, Dakota, all these things, some of the areas they have converted into deregulated and some of them they are into regulated. So especially if you look into Texas, there are almost 30 to 40 electricity service providers. So as a customer, you have multiple choices. You can choose whoever you want. Okay, that is your deregulated market. And when it comes to combination of services, generation is always a different part of it. The only combination what you can find is in some of the areas, transmission will be handled separately, distribution and retail will be handled separately. Like especially if you look India market, because everything will be all governed by a state government, most of the electricities, right? Generation will be a different, transmission will be a different, distribution and retail will take care of one part. But whereas in US, it's slight different. Generation, of course, it's anyhow it's a different. Transmission and distribution is taken care by one organization. Retail is taken care by other organizations. Okay, so it depends on the area. It depends on your location where you are working with your utility company. Now, when it comes to utility application, a part of distribution part and completely retail part can be handled using a utility application. SAP IS utilities handle your distribution and the entire part of your retail. It doesn't handle your transmission, it doesn't handle your generation part. So that's where, if you look at this, you have generation, transmission, distribution, and a retail. As I said, your utility application handles a part of distribution and a part of retail. The reason why they kept it as a part of distribution is as a half of the part your R3 system has to take care of it. That is your core SAP will handle rest of the 50% of your distribution. I'll let you know like the business scenarios how we are handling with R3 and ACC. Sorry, ACC and IS utilities. So if you look at this, IS utilities itself is an application, but in a back end, it always depends on your core SAP application. That is your core R3 or ECC we call it as. Say for example, if I compare your modules, 5 different modules we discussed about, right? Customer services, billing and invoicing, FICA, work management. So to understand that, we need to discuss about a business process. In utilities, there is a business process called commercial life cycle, or we call it as meter to cash, right? So as a utility company, as a retail utility company, the main business process is meter to cash. So on a periodic basis, you have to collect the meter read, and based on the meter read, you have to calculate the charges and you have to send a bill to a customer, and then you have to follow up with the customers, right? So there are different activities what you need to perform. So starting from collecting your meter read, ending with collection of your payments or amounts, the entire cycle or life cycle is called as commercial life cycle or meter to cash. Say for instance, if I go with a meter to cash, the first part is you have to create a meter read order. But how do and when do I need to create? So all utility companies will have a proper schedule. They will not generate the meter read orders as and when they need. No. So what they do is, based on the customer base, like how many consumers or how many customers you have, and how best I can handle those customers. That's where we have to do your resources planning, right? Say for example, I have 1 million customers, that is 10 lakhs customers. Can I bill those 10 lakh customers in one day? if I want to build them, what is the infrastructure I need? What is the manpower I need? What is the resources I need? Right? So everything I need to plan. And the thing is, if I have 1 million customer, and if I bill 1 million customer on the same day, then what I am going to do with the rest of 25 days or 22 days, even if I take only working days, what my employees are going to do rest of 22 days? Are they going to sit idle? And am I going to pay their salaries just for keeping them idle? No, right? So I need to plan it accordingly. So what I'll do is I'll group the customers based on number of working days. Let's say my capacity is I can generate 1 lakh customers or 1 lakh invoices a day, where I need to handle 1 million, that is 10 lakh customers. So I have to schedule it accordingly, right? So what I'm going to do is I'll say, okay, day 1 I'll send this many 1 lakh customers, day 2 50,000 customers, day 3 1 lakh 50,000 customers, day 4 25,000 customers. Because when I design my route, the way how I'm going to build the customers, some locations it may be a density, because density is more, and some locations it may be a density is very less, right? Even if you look at your local areas, there will be one location where you'll have more and more houses, and if you go outskirts there will be a limited number of houses, right? 10, 15, 20, 30 or something. So according to that your schedule may go up or down, the number of count may go up or down, but the schedule what I'm doing is day 1 I'm going to build these customers, day 2 I'm going to build these customers. That's what called as schedule. So there will be two different schedules. One is called portion schedule and one is called meter reading schedule. Portion schedule is day 1 how many customers I'm going to bill, day 2 who are the customers I'm going to bill them, right? Now the point is, let's say I've decided that I'm going to bill 100,000 customers on day 1, right? 1 lakh customers. Now the point is, if I need to bill them on day 1, prior to that I have to have all the meter readings available, right? Because based on that only I'll calculate the consumption. Now the point is, if I need those 100,000 meter reads before the day 1, when should I go and read the meters, right? Roughly I cannot estimate. There is a control on that. I cannot, every time I cannot estimate the meter reads. I have to physically visit, I have to read the registers, or I have to read the meters. So let's say my capacity is I can read 25,000 meters one day. Using my all resources I can read 25,000 meters, but my target is 100,000, 1 lakh customers. So what do I need to do? I need to schedule 4 days in advance, right? Day 1 25,000, day 2 25,000, day 3 25,000, day 4 25,000. So my 100,000 customers meter reads are ready now. Then I can go and bill it on day 1. So when do I need to plan? 26th of last month I need to plan. 26, 27, 28, 29. One day leave it. First of every month I'm going to bill them. Got it? So that is called scheduling. So based on the schedule, your utility company will create the meter read orders, because you are not the one who's going to read the meter. Your distribution company or your meter shop people are going to read the meters. So we need to tell them that go and read these many registers today. Those are called meter read orders. And those meter read orders we are going to send it to your distribution company or your meter shop or whoever is third party companies, whoever is reading your meters. Now once they download the meters and they'll go and collect the meter reading, and then they'll send it back to SAP system. Those meter reads will be uploaded into SAP system, and then all these activities is a responsibility of your device management. Now once they upload the meter read, their responsibility is done. From there, your billing and invoicing will pick that information. So once it gets the meter read, your billing module is the one which will calculate the consumption. Consumption in the sense, current meter read minus previous meter read is your consumption, right? So once it calculates the consumption, based on the consumption, it will start calculating all your charges. So when you say electricity, it's not only a consumption charge. There are so many direct or indirect charges what you need to calculate. I'm not sure about India, but if you look at electricity bill at US, they'll say energy charge, I mean consumption charges, energy charges, fuel charges, transmission charges, distribution charges. So there will be a list of charges they will calculate. On top of it, there will be a tax, there will be a service tax, right? So if you look at your electricity bill, you don't see one consumption charge. There will be a list of charges which they calculate. So your billing responsibility is how to calculate those charges, how to calculate your final amount which you need to collect it from a customer, right? So your billing will do all those calculations, and then it comes to invoicing. In invoicing, we'll add any additional charges like your tax calculation, your late payment charges, or your service charges, or whatever. And then you're going to create an invoice. Logically, as a customer, whatever bill you receive in utilities, we call it as invoice. Yes. So normally, as a customer, we'll say bill, right? Electricity bill. But in utility application, we call it as invoice. Now, once you generate the invoice, there are two activities you're going to do, two different activities you're going to do. One, you'll print the invoice and send it to your customer. Second, the same information you'll update into financial accounting. That means from there, your billing and invoicing responsibility is completed. Now that responsibility lies with your finance department, financial accounting, contract accounts, receivables, and payables. The reason why it gets into finance is once you generate the invoice, that is a revenue to your company, right? For a customer, it's an expenses, but for company, it's a revenue. Based on that only, you'll do all your expenses, right? So for a company, it's a revenue. Now that will be posted as a revenue into accounting. So when you post it as a revenue, until unless you collect the amount from your customer, you cannot consider that as a revenue, right? Until unless you have money, you cannot spend them, right? So your finance team will take the responsibility, saying, okay, I'm going to send a bill to a customer. So I'll also send a due date, saying, okay, I'm going to send your invoice today. So you have to pay within 15 days. Universal rule is 15 days. There could be here and there could be a changes. So once you receive your bill, they'll say, okay, you have to pay within 15 days. If a customer pay within 15 days, then I have to nullify his account, right? Let's say I sent an invoice of $100. Customer paid a bill of $100. So nullified. 100 minus 100, 0. Correct? If customer made a partial payment, I sent him $100, but he paid only $50. So rest $50 I need to carry forward for the next invoice or next month. So this is the responsibility of your finance, account maintenance, taking the payments, collection agencies, taking up payment and calculation of your late payment charges, and all this stuff is the responsibility of FICA. If customer makes a payment, okay, well and good. And you cannot expect all the customers in the same behavior, right? There could be customers who may not pay the bill or who doesn't want to pay the bill. You can see a combination of customers, right? Now, how to handle those customers who are rigid and who don't want to pay the bill? So what we do is in FICA there is a transaction called dunning procedure. In dunning, what we do is first we'll start from the reminder. We'll send a reminder to a customer. If not responding, the second level is we'll send a letter to the customer saying your due is already crossed. And third, you'll say, okay, I'm going to apply a late payment charges on that account. Then again, I'll send a reminder and I'll say, okay, if you're not going to respond within 48 hours, I'm going to disconnect it. If not, I'll go and remove the connection. I'll disconnect electricity, right? Even if customer is not responding, then I'll submit it to a collection agency. Saying it as a bad debt, I'll sell it to collection agency. So my responsibility is gone. Collection agency will come and collect the amount, right? So all these activities is a responsibility of your financial accounting, contract accounts, receivables, and payables. So this is your device management, this is your billing and invoicing, this is your financial accounting, contract accounts, receivables, and payables. Now let's say you already sent an invoice and then customer found that the invoice has a problem. His meter read was saying only 100 units, but your bill says 1000 units, right? High bill inquiries. Or there could be a charges which are additional charges has been added, or customer needs support, or customer needs extension of due date, or there could be something problem with his meter, there could be a leakage, whatever. So the customer is going to call the call center, right? Your utility company will have a call center and you can reach out to a call center, and your call center agent will help you to handle those queries or inquiries or complaints or whatever. That is the responsibility of your customer services, the final module, which is called customer services. So starting point is customer services, ending point is also customer services. Starting point in the sense, as a customer, let's say you want electricity to your property, so you'll reach out to your utility company, right, where you're going to fill out the application and you'll submit your application, you'll pay your security deposit and all this stuff. Who's going to take care of it? Your call center people, right? Your front office people. So that is a part of customer service. Are we good? So as part of our training, I'm not restricting it to one particular module because those golden days are gone long back. Currently, every utility company is looking for a person who has a knowledge of integration, and he should have a knowledge of at least more than one module. So our course curriculum does not restrict it to one particular module. So we took it as a meter to cash, starting from your customer move in, ending with submitting it to a collection agency. Each and every activity we are going to design in a SAP system, we'll execute each and every scenario, and we'll see the output of each scenario, whatever we discuss. Let's say if I say move in, for move in we have to do a business partner. So we'll see the configuration how to create. To create a business partner, what is the configuration we have to do in utilities? Once you do the configuration, then we'll create a business partner. Next, we need a contract account. To create a contract account, what are the configurations we have to do? First, we'll go through that, and then we'll come and create a contract account. In the same way, each and every activity. Let's say when you do a move-in, you need to have a move-in template. So first, how you need to configure your move-in template? What are the control parameters we have in move-in? Once you configure all those things, then you'll create your own template, and based on the template, you're going to do a move-in. So it's a type of implementation.